goes the dynamite. Welcome into the Clay Edwards Show, the free-range human show of choice, also known as your daily dose of reality radio. We are live here on 103.9 FM WYAB, streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as the TuneIn app and Alexa. Just search WYAB. If you can't remember any of that, you're out of town, just go to clayedwardsshow.com, click the Listen Live link at the top of the page, and boom, you should be listening live, unless we've crashed the servers again because we have so many listeners. How cool is that, man? If you had told me 3 years ago that they were going to have to expand the network because we had so many listeners streaming the show, not just on the radio, I would have probably called you a liar. Know what I would have done and be like, I know, but I'd have been lying. I was like, yeah, we did it. Anyway, shout out to everybody out there this morning. Hey, real quick, man, I want to give a shout out to all the hardworking girl bosses out there, the big women, the hardworking women in the family. There was a time where women sat at the house and had girls' day every day while the men just worked. You had the whole day to yourselves, and you blew it because y'all wanted to work instead of be wives. Think about that while you're sitting in traffic this morning, when you could have been on your third mimosa already with no men in sight. Biggest fumble in history. Biggest fumble in history. All you strong, independent women could have just sat at home, big old girls' day, play bunco, gossip on the phone, go to all your little social clubs. Nope. Got to get that independence. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. Gay guys, you too. Gay guys. Just had to go and ruin y'all's whole thing by getting married, by demanding the right to get married. Because there's always that one person in the relationship that's usually way more into the thought of marriage than the other. And the one guy sitting there, he's like, oh, shucks, man, too bad we can't get married. I know, it's terrible. It's terrible we can't get married. Oh, what do you mean they changed the law? Guess what? We get to get married. And there goes all the perks of not being able to get married. Anyway, I'm half kidding about all that this morning. I made that post on Facebook yesterday, and it was very polarizing. We'll say that. Some people do not decipher sarcasm. Others do. Somebody shared it on Twitter and tagged me in it, and a gay guy commented that I can't believe somebody procreated with this person. I'm like, well, you know what? Attractive, straight Christian women actually find me wildly sexy and entertaining and funny. So a particular one in particular, this one that, really likes me. So anyway, good times. Guns of Gear text line 769-241-1944. 769-241-1944. The phone line this morning, 601-879-0002. Question of the day, did women screw it up? Women, did you wish you could take it all back now? On a serious note, let me spin something off of this. On a serious note, do you think the women's rights movement, that got women into the workplace and pushed for all the girl bosses, and which I've worked for women. I have no problem with any of that stuff. I don't want to come across something like that. But let's take this back to the nuclear family and them making everything so expensive and, kind of forcing women into the workplace more by necessity, really, because everything's gotten so expensive. Now both parents have to work. Well, I heard a phrase a while back, and I'd never heard it before. Apparently, I'm one of these people, a latchkey kid. I guess it meant you had a key to your house, and you just got off the bus or got out of school, and you had your own key to the house because your parents weren't there, so you were a latchkey kid. I don't know if I necessarily understand the play on words there, but I was just I had a key to the house kid. I do believe a lot of the problems that this country is currently facing right now come from the fact that both parents, typically speaking nowadays, are in the workplace. And there rarely is there a mother at home whose legitimate full-time job is being the mother. And I know, I know some dads that are the full-time dad in the house. Like, that's their job. Like, we call it Mr. Mom or whatever. We joke about that stuff and we try to, like, downplay those people. Or not, when I say we, I mean, like, society. Tries to, like, pick at them, like, oh, I wish I had your job, just to get to sit home and watch The View all day and play with kids. God, I'd rather go work for minimum wage than I would watch The View. Neither here nor there. But we've downplayed the importance of that person in our nuclear family. It's like it's frowned upon now if there's a parent that stays home to, actually parent. Such an important role. Such an important role. I look up to people who are good parents. And you can tell when somebody's a good parent. And you can tell when somebody is not. And so it's I wasn't planning on talking about this stuff. It sounds like I'm stuttering a little bit. I'm kind of just rolling on this. It was a hot hand. I'm rolling with it. Yeah. If you can afford. Now, look, there's some people that abuse it. I know some guys whose wives stay home and are the stay-at-home parent, and they're drunks. And they don't handle the free time well at all. I mean, look, I don't get up and, other than this radio show, I don't have anywhere I necessarily have to be the rest of the day. But I try to stay very busy with little tasks. Whether it's sending emails, making videos, looking for potential sponsors, working out, which I have not been doing enough of. I just try to stay busy enough that I don't want to end up sipping on a mimosa myself at lunchtime or brunch. So free time can be the devil's playground a little bit, but there's the other mothers out there who, man, they got a schedule. It's all on the refrigerator. You got more than one kid, it doesn't matter. And they got it all figured out, and it's truly a full-time job, shuttling kids from school to football to baseball to cheer and back to band and just everything else. Shout out to y'all. I would love to see some statistics on how the kids who grew up in a house where there was a parent home all the time, not just both parents in the house, but some statistics that show a full-time parent being in the house, hands-on, helping with homework, all that stuff. How did those kids turn out versus kids who both parents had to work full-time jobs? Were there any teen arrests, teen pregnancy? Did they get into college? How did they graduate? I would love to see some of those numbers. And I'm not saying one way's right, one way's wrong. I'm not attacking anybody here. Both of my parents worked. My dad was at home a little more because he was self-employed, but at the end of the day, both parents worked full-time jobs. So I don't want to use me as the example here. Let's check some text on the Guns and Gear text line. Spook says, leaving a message for Kim. Unknown texter. You're killing me. It's less about necessity and more about the desire for more stuff, bigger houses, newer cars, etc. Is this a preferred text line? Yes, this is a preferred text line. Latchkey kids were created in the 90s version of a Karen. Latchkey kids were created by the 90s version of a Karen. Gotcha. Blake on the Guns and Gear text line says, Clay woke up this morning and decided to pee in all the liberals' Cheerios. Yeah, hardcore feminists get mad about this kind of stuff. I wish they got as mad about men trying to pretend to be women. Where'd all them feminists go? Where are all them feminists at? Where y'all at? You got a whole group of men out here trying to pretend to be women. Strong, independent women with a third leg. I don't see y'all raising much cane about that. Playing y'all sports. Taking y'all scholarships. Taking your spots. Let's take a call. Hey, you're on there.
Good morning, this buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Look, I will be 75 my birthday. I was a latchkey kid, as you'd call it, from 10. That didn't create a problem. What created a problem now is, look, if I got out of line, my daddy would take a belt to me and tear my hide up. And I knew my rules. I knew my limitations. And they can say fear isn't good, but I was fearful of doing something wrong. And, Lord, my daddy always found it. Now, my mama, all she had to say to me was, I'm disappointed or ashamed, and I'd break down and blubber like a 2-year-old. But what is wrong right now, I ran into it, had an incident where I was with kids. One was 7 years old, and just every rule in the world broke, was hitting people, and the mother said, well, you have to understand that she is only 7, and she doesn't understand rules yet.
Huh.
That's what's wrong. I felt like grabbing the mom up, whooping her butt.
Yep.
But that's it's just, everybody gets a participation trophy. There's no such thing as bad. Oh, I can't do corporal punishment. I take away their video game for 30 minutes and all's right. Now, I've got sons raising kids. I know they hated it when I whipped them when they was kids, but they whipped theirs. And, I hadn't had any of my boys go to jail. So I must have done something halfway right.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you said, I hate to use the word good parent. I like to say a responsible parent. A responsible parent is one that's molding their kid so that they'll do the right thing. Also, that the daddy has the fear of God in them. And look, I've talked to your daddy. I sort of think your daddy had the fear of God in you.
Oh, he did. Look, man, I got beat with every square inch of my body got beat with that belt when they wanted to come after me. It was not just a bend over and take a whooping on the butt. It was whatever skin ain't covered by clothes is getting got, son.
Well, my daddy was a psychologist before child psychologist. My daddy, I remember he'd come in and say to me, okay, you did so-and-so and so-and-so wrong today, and I'm going to whip you. I'll be home tomorrow afternoon at 5:45. You be standing in the bathroom. Now, so I get 24 hours to think about it. At one time, I got outside and messed up and wasn't in there. And he came out and got me. He took me to the bathroom, and he whipped me. Then he looked at me, and he said, now, that's the whipping you were getting today. Now, tomorrow at 5:45, when I get home, I'm going to give you a whipping for not being in here today, like I told you.
And then you got to think about it for 24 hours, and you're trying to figure out how to get out of it. Can I behave enough to not get this whooping? And it's just it's a vicious cycle of effing around and finding out.
Yeah, well, we got out. What happened that day, I remember it well. I was 10, 11 years old. Man, when I got home from school, I went in there and parked my butt in the bathroom and waited. I scared to miss it. And, my mom and daddy never had to come get me out of jail. And, I went to work at 12 years old at Public. I am 74 and I'm still working. And I work now because that's all I know how to do, and I sort of enjoy being productive. But it's the parents not being responsible is the problem. One thing I think's contributing to it. Look, if a kid acts bad at school, they pop a pill in his mouth. He's got some kind of alphabet disease.
Oh, God, you're so right. So right, brother.
And I've taught martial arts. I've taught it 35, 40 years. I have taken kids in, and this is no big thing on me. It's on the martial arts, that they say they were ADD and hyper and all that. And after a while, they quit being hyper because they get focused on doing something. And my deal is, and I tell parents this, what I say in this place goes. Unless Jesus walks in tonight, I'm the nearest thing to God's going to be in here. And I demand, and I see kids that can't stand still, learn to stand still. So, but look, I enjoy the show, and you just keep giving them hell.
I sure will, buddy. Appreciate you, brother. All right, let's take a break real quick. Come back. This is the Clay Edwards Show, rolling on down the tracks just like the Trump train. Toot, toot. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. This segment brought to you by Advanced Tree Care. Guys, only one number you need to remember when you need a certified, licensed tree surgeon, and that is 601-455-TREE, 601-455-TREE. They have been licensed, bonded, and insured right here in Central Mississippi for over 40 years. Specialize in proper pruning, because there's some improper pruning out there too. You don't want to do with no improper pruning. You want proper pruning. Trimming. They're open 24/7, 365 days a year. They offer tree removal, tree pruning, proper pruning, tree cabling, brush and debris haul off, stump grinding, lot clearing, and storm work cleanup. They're known for taking down the trees others walk away from. And my friends, they will, in fact, literally go out on a limb for you. That's Advanced Tree Care, 601-455-TREE, 601-455-TREE. Lock the number in your phone. That's all you got to do. You got a tree down, need any of that stuff done, they will get you taken care of. Locally owned, locally operated, licensed, bonded, insured, 40-plus years in business right here in Central Mississippi. You don't get to do that. You don't get to do anything for 40 years that involves people paying you to do it and you not be good at it. Word of mouth spreads at some point, and you don't get to do it no more. These guys are obviously top-notch at what they do, and we appreciate them being a part of the show here on WYAB. Now, we got a bunch of text on our previous topic about parents and mothers getting out of the house to be boss girls, and when they could be drinking mimosas in the morning and sitting back just waiting on their kids to get out of school, joining Moms for Liberty. No, had to go get full-time jobs. Here's a text on the Guns and Gear text line. That number, by the way, is 769-241-1944. So good morning, Clay. I'm a mother of 4. All are grown now. I believe families were stronger when a mother was home. Kids were nourished. Family values were better. The house would stay clean, and we could all eat at the table every night as a family. It makes a difference. I knew where my kids were and who they were with. Now, my daughter is a stay-at-home mother. One son is a school administrator, one son is a contractor, and one son is in finance at a local dealership. That's how you do it. Congratulations on the success of your children. That sounds great. I bet you I know your son if he's in finance around here. I want to circle back to a comment she made earlier in that text. She said the house would stay clean and we could all eat at the family table. Or no. She says the kids were nourished. All that kind of made me think about something. I wonder if that's about the time the both parents went into work. Is that about the time the obesity rate spiked in America? Is when one of the parents weren't home in the afternoons for a healthy lunch or that after-school snack, and then you got both parents working, so they're probably just grabbing fast food or pizza on the way home or getting something delivered that's not healthy instead of cooking dinner every night. Really makes you think. Like I've noticed, like my girlfriend, she tries to cook dinner every night, and it's always something just a little healthier than what we would get out on the road. Let's say out on the road, I just mean out in the world, whether it be fast food, pizza, even quote unquote healthy food. Everything's got a ton of bread or carbs in it now. Just food for thought. I bet you that's a big reason we see an obesity epidemic right now, is because parents both got into the workplace, not getting off to after 5 or 6. You don't have time to go home and cook a whole lot of dinner when you don't get off work to 5, 6 o'clock. You're probably not getting settled into the house by 7. Then you got to cook for an hour. And when you do cook like that, a lot of it's, boxed foods and definitely not whole foods. I think I have stumbled onto something here. Let's read some more of your text. Let's see here. Great text, by the way. Unknown texter, thank you. Jess says, I rebelled and got tore up a few times. Both of my parents worked full time. I basically had to FAFO. I'm stay-at-home mom. It's not easy. I truly found God to get my life together. Absolutely. Let's see here. Unknown texter. I already said that. It says whooping a kid should not be thought of as a beating and violence. It should be thought of as teaching law and order. That's what this country seems to be missing now, is respect for law and order. That is a great way to look at it. It teaches consequences and repercussions. I talked about this at the tail end of Tuesday's show. There's a video that I shared on my X account that showed a bunch of 11th graders up against the wall getting pepper sprayed at a school. And, of course, the internet is losing its ever-loving mind. It's all white kids, by the way. God, if you'd imagine if there had been a black kid in there, Sharpton, Crump, Jesse, they'd all be down with a vengeance. Anyway, and all the parents signed off on it and said, yes, that's fine, let's do it. And it was to teach kids that what effing around and finding out what a cop could lead to. Now, could have shot some of them to teach them a real lesson with some rubber bullets and be like, now imagine not recovering from that. And I'm not suggesting do that, but hey, it may not be the worst idea for some of the more knuckleheads out there, like what I was growing up. Let me feel a little of that heat. Maybe a stun gun, something like that. Anyway. And it was to teach kids the consequences and repercussions or what could happen if a traffic stop or an interaction with a cop escalates. It's like you could get pepper sprayed or worse. So I got pepper sprayed one time. I wasn't the target. We were at Inez's, and anytime a fight broke out on the dance floor or anywhere in the club for that matter, Miss Inez wouldn't spray you in the face. She would spray it down at the ground. And if you got a whiff of it, you knew real quick that you didn't want no more of it. Miss Inez was ahead of her time when it came to that. Didn't need a whole lot of security. Just spray a little pepper spray on the floor. Everybody immediately disabled. Let's read some more text here real quick. They're coming on in this morning. Great text this morning. Great text. Let's see here. Anthony says, my mama beat me to death one time, did CPR and beat me to death again. Anthony, did it work? Did it work? Let's see. Unknown texture. When I was growing up in the 80s, we played outside all day. If you didn't come home bleeding, it wasn't a good day. There was literally no obesity among my crew. We couldn't keep weight on. Our snacks were raiding people's plum trees. Yeah, I think we're on to something here, guys. If you play outside and not play on video games, there's a good chance that you may, in fact, not be an obese kid. And if you're an obese kid riding in the car this morning with your parents on the way to school, I'm not picking at you. I'm praying for you. Praying for you. Play a little dodgeball. Oh, Shannon, man, what is up, my friend? It says, you just brought up Inez's, showing your age now. No doubt. Let's see here. Unknown texture. What about Linden's? Do you remember that place? They had a bouncer named Mario. He was about 7'3", 400 pounds. That was his pepper spray. I do not remember Linden's. That may have been before my time. Earl and Pearl. Earl the Pearl. Earl from Pearl. I stumbled into an online debate recently about corporal punishment in schools. I taught for 15 years, and I can tell you it's the only thing that works for some. But so many of these days view it as barbarism, and they were appalled. I would even suggest it used today. They have no idea. I'm just telling you, man. I know we talk about it. It's become cliche. The whole FAFO thing, we beat it into the ground, but it's so relevant. The finding out part is such a rite of passage. Because if you find out strong or hard enough, violently enough, you don't want to do the effing around part nearly as much. I mean, look, I like to F around and find out. It's been great for me. It keeps me in check. It's like a checks and balance system for my life. But I don't like doing it nearly as much as I used to. Like, no, I can actually look at something nowadays and say, the FO part of this equation is not going to be worth the FA part of this equation. I don't want to do it. I'm doing good enough when I'm not even FAing. And still FO. No good deed goes unpunished. Let's read a few more of your texts. I've got a lot I wanted to talk about today. I set up last night till 11 o'clock doing show prep, and this was none of it. But I think that's what makes this show fun, right? And I know there's some diehard politicos listening right now. Talk about Trump. Talk about the Supreme Court. We're going to, I promise. Spartacus in Jackson says, hey, Clay, when was the last time you've seen a kid ride bikes or even playing outside? Also, so many kids don't even ride the school bus anymore. Well, I understand I want to ride the school bus. Now, it's funny you brought up this bicycle thing because when I was living out there in South Jackson over off Forest Hill Road, man, that area's gotten so bad. Sort of a hostage situation out there the other day in the old Brookwood Country Club. When I was, we got a caller on hold, caller stay there. So I lived out in that area, that Byron, Forest Hill Road, South Jackson area for a long time. And for the last decade, I never saw kids ride bikes. Ever, period. Never really even saw them walking around outside. Rather peaceful. I moved out to Cross Gates thinking, man, I'm going to have to make sure I'm careful and I don't want to run over a kid on a bicycle or anything like that. This is one of the largest neighborhoods in the state, if not the largest. I'm sure because it's a safer area, you're probably more likely to see kids riding around. Man, I can probably count on one hand how many times I saw kids on bicycles. And usually it was just a kid by himself. And then I moved to downtown Brandon. A lot of families down there, neighborhoods, all that. I've been down there over a year. September was a year. So almost a year and a half. Anyway, I have not seen a single kid on a bicycle. The only person I've seen on a bicycle was Fred Shanks, and it was an electric bicycle. So, yeah, to your point, kids aren't doing stuff outside anymore. I'll also say this, though, in defense of that. A lot of kids are so wrapped up into, like, if you play high school sports now or you're involved in cheer or whatever else, the time constraints and the demands on your time with that are so intense that between that and classes, it almost doesn't allow you time to just go be a kid. So I'm not saying every kid in Brandon is a baseball, football player or cheer team. I'm just saying that there are a lot of kids out there still getting good exercise, but they're playing sports and whatnot to do it. We got to take a break real quick, guys. A ton of great texts coming in. We got a bunch of stuff we're going to hit too. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We will be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Hey guys, be sure to check out Watkins Construction and Roofing for all of your roof repair and replacement needs right here in central statewide and in Alabama, but they're locally owned and operated right here in central Mississippi. You can check them out online at nomordrip.com. nomordrip.com. They're going to come out. They're going to do a complimentary roof assessment for you. Check out, see what you need, see if there's anything that needs to be repaired or replaced. They're not going to take advantage of you just because you have insurance and be like, oh, needs a whole roof, and watch your rates and all go up unnecessarily. That ain't how they do business over there. If you just got a small section that needs fixed, they're going to fix that. They're going to go on about their way. They're going to be in contact with you the entire process. I know I've said it a million times, but I just think it's worth mentioning. All the reviews say they were in contact the entire step of the process. They were answering my questions before I could even ask them. And I never had to wonder where we were at throughout the process. And when they come, they show up. They have super professional crews. They're all going to be in their Watkins gear, Watkins trucks. They're going to take care of your landscaping and your property. They're going to clean up after themselves. You're never going to know they were there except that you no longer had the problem you had before they got there. They're not going to be up on the roof with a bunch of loud music, bumping, or cussing and all that stuff. That kind of stuff. That ain't how they roll. So check them out. nomordrip.com. That's Watkins Construction and Roofing right here in central Mississippi. All right, man, let's hit a few more text messages, and we're going to move on to our next topic. Ashley on the Guns and Gear text line says, corporal punishment is so needed in schools. These children are terrible, and there's no one to blame but the parents and the schools, because the schools no longer do anything to hold the kids accountable. You know how I feel about the school, Ashley. It takes a village. I agree 100%, Ashley. Real talk, and we've talked about this before. The school, it does require, it requires a village, and the school is part of that village. All these parents, and I'm going to guess it's the ACLU, and I mean probably some racisms, is why, or false claims of racisms, is why we don't allow corporal punishment anymore. A bunch of Karens. My little baby doesn't need to get a spanking. If anybody's going to spank my little baby, it's going to be me. Well, you need to start spanking your baby. Your little angel. Your little Kang. Your little future rocket scientist and engineer. You need to start spanking them. And by spanking, I mean close that fist up and punch them. Kevin says, biggest crime we committed growing up as kids was sneaking out of the house late at night and stealing the chrome valve stem covers and putting them on our bicycles. Mongoose, GT, Mach 1, Diamondbacks, Redline, Hutch, Trickstar, just to name a few. My buddy Michael Applewhite, listening to this right now or later on the podcast, is going to hear that, and he's going to start having his heart's going to flutter. He loves them old bikes. I do too. I would like to get a GT Mach 1 just to hang on the wall. I can't play guitar, but I have one hung up at the house. I look at those old school bicycles, skateboard decks. By the way, free plug here, man. Jace Powell. They own Revolution Bike Shop up there in Gluckstadt. And Jace is an old school DJ. Just a great dude. He's an alderman up there. But they have Lucky Town Skateboard Shop up there. I think it's connected to or it's inside the Revolution Bike Shop. They sell all the retro decks from the 90s, 80s and 90s. Your Powell Peraltas, your Santa Cruzes, like Visions. Like all those famous skateboard decks that we all grew up on that are just so iconic, the Bones Brigade stuff, they sell those up there. They're reprints or whatever. They do get the occasional OG ones, and they're not too expensive, man. If you got a man cave you're building, you're in your mid-40s, go get you a skateboard deck or two to hang up. I did. I don't have mine currently hung, but I'm working my way back to it, I promise. And they got all that out there. Make sure you tell them I sent you. Maybe I can squeeze a little money out of them for some advertising if we sell a few skateboard decks for them. Love that stuff. Let's see here. Josh on the Guns and Gear text line says, we rode bikes to Crossgates Lake and fished in the 80s and 90s. Caught lots of fish. Yeah, man, I just don't see enough kids doing anything anymore. Let's take a call real quick. Hey, you're on there.
Good morning.
Hey,
Good morning.
Morning.
Did you ever, when the service is going on, you do something that your daddy don't like? When you're a little bit younger, he takes you outside and beats your ass.
Yeah. My mama did.
Yeah, sitting up in church. I remember that. He taught you respect for that church.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to bring back, people don't really realize it. My wife's been dead for a while, but, a lady, the right lady, she keeps peace in the family and keeps everything straight and keeps everything on schedule. We don't want to admit that, but, it makes a big difference having the right one in there helping you.
Oh, look, man, I said something on Facebook. I put a picture of my girlfriend and me on Facebook the other day, and I just kind of put the caption. It said, fellas, you don't have to wonder if you got the right one. You'll know when you do.
That's right. Amen.
And you ain't got to read a book about it. You ain't got to do anything. When you got the right one, you'll know. And you will also know when you don't have the right one, because you'll be wondering, do you?
And when you got the right one and you get the look, you know.
You know. That the fa and the foe, that the foe is shortly behind the fa.
Yeah. Hey, you have a great day today.
You too, brother. Have a blessed one. Thank you. All right, we got to take our last break of the first hour here. We'll be right back. As we shift into hour two, I promise we're going to get into some news and whatnot. The mayor of Athens, Georgia, deserves to die, and I hope he burns in hell. We're going to talk about that. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. Hey, guys, just real quick, if you're looking for somewhere to eat breakfast this morning, Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, Madison, down on the downtown side of Madison, Flowwood. They're serving breakfast now right there at Dogwood also. The downtown Brandon location doesn't do breakfast. Man, if you're hungry for something to eat right now, Burgers, Blues, Barbecue, Madison, and Flowwood locations, they got it serving up, man. They got their famous little chicken biscuits. They've got their chicken and waffles and more. Check them out. And don't forget, all three locations are open for lunch and dinner every day. There's a blue plate lunch special, and they always have hamburger steak, but they alternate a second meat. It could be fried chicken. It could be fried fish. It could be country fried steak, so on and so forth, depending on what day it is. You can check out the menu at burgersblues.com. So we'll tell you about Lunch and Jackson here in the second hour. Man, look, that was fun. Let's see if I can read a few more of your texts. And when we come back, we're going to get into Medicaid expansion in the state. I got some thoughts of it from a normie's perspective. We're not going to get into the math and the payment and all that. We're going to talk about Jackson, Mississippi being a sanctuary city. And I got some video of the mayor of Athens blaming the girl's death, Laken Riley's death, on Donald Trump being mean to immigrants. And 5 years earlier, I got some video of him declaring Athens a sanctuary city. So we're going to talk about that and more. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back for hour two of the most incendiary show on the radio right here on 103.9 FM WYAB.